bringing in that confidence and just like the authority, not like, oh, I hope you'll consider me. That's not.
No, not at all. This is interesting because I'm sort of studying, I suppose you could say, two people, and they're both men, which is interesting because it might be different. But anyway, so one of them is Bill Barron, and he's kind of the guru of this kind of thing with HCI. Jen and I have both been through HCI, Health Coach Institute. And he's amazing, this guy. I keep listening to him. I take walks. It's my self-care. But I take speed walks for about an hour to an hour and a half or two. And I just put him in my ears. And even if I hear him several times, it's like, oh, okay. And it's not like a new fact. I know this stuff too well. No, it's just a little change. And then there's a guy named Rich Litvin, who I've been studying as well. And this is also, it's so tender. It's once you do, it sounds like you've been doing a lot of it, and I have too. It's so just a little tweak, and maybe not even that, That's fascinating. I love what you're doing.
Okay,
you're continuing to get up there.
Hey, Jen. It is that time. Good morning. Good morning. I'd like you all to mute if you are not actively speaking. Welcome to CEO Mondays. Whoop, whoop. Thank you to those who have filled out your forms. We have several people who are unable to make it today for a variety of reasons, but I've got all of their information, and I will make sure to go through their requests as well. But first, unfortunately, I have to lay a ground rule because I've had 3 complaints from within this group when people are breaking into accountability. And I addressed accountability a couple of times ago, and regrettably, I have to say that there will be no soliciting in accountability meetings in this group. I have had 3 complaints about people who felt pressured to buy a product or service when they were in an accountability setting, and that is not what this is for. Frankly, I find that abhorrent because I began this as a service during this. If you were the offender, I will find out. The reason I addressed accountability 2 or 3 weeks ago was because I didn't get the complaint that solicitation was happening. I got 2 complaints that people didn't understand what accountability was. Well, I've dug in deeper, and it was about feeling pressured to buy a service. This is not the purpose of this group. There will be no solicitation of this group, and if I find out moving forward that you were doing that, you will be out of this group. I'm sorry to be very stalwart about this, but accountability is about holding space for someone else and helping them to move forward. Accountability is not an opportunity. This is not a networking group. Networking group one-on-ones are where you can talk about your businesses. And actually, when you're doing a one-on-one with someone, it's not the intention to sell your services. That should never be the intention. And I want people in this group to feel safe. So if you feel that way and you have had that occur, please feel free to reach out to me, but I will not tolerate that any further, and it'll be grounds for immediate dismissal. Agreed? Okay. Sorry to be starting on a negative note. That is not how I like to start, but it is unacceptable to me. Accountability is to help one another move forward, period, end of story. What do you need? How can I support you? It is not to solicit other members of this group. And I feel very unfortunate because I lost one member of this group because of this. It happened twice, and that is just absolutely unacceptable. So moving forward, there will be no solicitation. Accountability is accountability. It is support. It is to help one another. Please do not pressure one another to buy your services. Thank you. Plus, that's disrespectful. This is my group. It's disrespectful. That is not the purpose of this group. If you want to set up one-on-ones outside of that and do business with one another, I absolutely believe in collaboration. I absolutely believe in that. But this is not the format, and the accountability in these calls is not the format for that. Okay, now that the tough stuff is done, let's go ahead and move into what's going well. I want everybody to pop into the chat. What is the thing that you're celebrating? Because while several of y'all did fill out your forms and I was able to see it, I would love for everyone else to be able to see some of the things that are going well right now. So go ahead and pop in the chat what's going well. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the requests from a couple of people who I know were not able to make this call this morning. There were a couple of common themes. The common themes were, number one, I do not hold the value of the service or product that I sell. I always lower the price. I saw that 4 times. That is a very interesting situation because number one, it's boundaries. It's a violation of boundaries. If you are believing in yourself and believing in what you have to offer, the service, the product, whatever, then you fully step into the value, and then you get into a conversation with somebody who is a potential customer. If you find that you're in there and you don't give them the space to step into the investment and you're backing away and trying to lower your prices, then there's one of 3 things that's going on. Thing number one, you didn't close the gap for them or they don't see the value. So what does that mean? That means here's where they want to be. Here's where they are now. Your product or service is the way to get to where they want to be. I want to lose weight. I've tried diets and products. It's not working. Health coaching is the solution. This is where we can get you and how we can get you. So closing that gap between where they are and where they want to be is our job when we are selling or trying to convert a sale. So if we didn't do a good job closing the gap, then that's one of the reasons they don't invest. An easy way to combat this is when you say, okay, great. Where are you today? This is where you are today. Where do you want to be? Really feel it. What are the things that are happening? Why don't you have that now? Overcoming, like finding out where their sticking points are. All of you know about this. All of you I've spoken to one-on-one, you know how to do this part. And then before you switch to the sales part of the conversation, how important is it for you to achieve this goal on a scale of 1 to 10? Oh, it's an 8, 9, or 10. Fantastic, collecting a yes. Do you see that this step-by-step program that I'm offering you or this product that I'm offering you is a way to get there? Yes. Okay, if they say yes, then they see the value. Do you see that this is the opportunity that this could solve this problem? Yes. So you've already established that you've closed the gap. So that's the first part of the process. The second part is if they've said no and they throw money or they throw, I need to speak to my spouse or whatever, it could be you. It might be that you have the solution to them, but it's not a good fit. I'll give you a classic example. Y'all know who I am. I do not mince words. If you're doing something dumb, I tell it to you. If it's something that's not going to get you moving towards your goals, I call you out. If you're getting in your own way, I call you out. I am a heavy accountability, no BS coach. That is not for everyone. So I might close the gap. They might see the value, and it might be that I'm not the right fit. It might be that they're looking for somebody who'll make it okay to make an excuse, which happens, and that's fine. So I'm not a right fit. It has nothing to do with my product. It has nothing to do with my service, and I do not need to lower my prices. It will never be a right fit, okay? So number one, did you close the gap? Number two, are you the right fit? And part of that is also, are they the right fit for you? Because not every client is the right fit for us. And if you've ever accepted a client and they have sucked the ever-living life force out of you, you will know that it's never worth it to take a client who's not a good fit for you, because what it does is it kills your sales every other step of the way because you're so energy depleted working with the person who's not for you. Okay, so you're not a good fit. Either you didn't close the gap, it's not the right solution for them, or you're not a fit. And the third one is that, and this is the most popular one, they do not see that they are capable of achieving these goals. This is their own limiting belief that even though they are all in on your program, they see that this has helped other people, they see that this could help them, and you're the right fit, but they just don't have enough belief in themselves that if they invest today, that they will be able to achieve these results, okay? This is highly common. It's highly common. It has nothing to do with you. And it doesn't matter what price point you do. So when we were talking in the beginning, it was about, I always lower my prices. Well, that's what you're doing, is you're undervaluing your product or service. And the person in front of you falls into one of the three categories that has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. Your business is not personal. Your business does not define your self-worth. But so those are the reasons that people don't invest with you. They don't see the value. You didn't close the gap, or it's not the right solution for them. You're not a fit, or they don't see themselves able to see the value. I'll get to the questions in a moment. So that's from the boundary side. The boundary side is you establish what your product or service is worth. You hold to that, and you can be in a place. Like, I'm going to give you a classic example. Right now is COVID. I have shifted some of my packages because people are not saying yes to a $25,000 package right now. They're saying yes to a $10,000 package because they see the value, and they're saying yes to like breaking it down into pieces. But in order to maintain your value, what you can do is say, hey, listen, I understand it's a pandemic. I get that, 6 months is a long-term commitment. What can you do? What is it? Is this the right solution? Yes, no. Do you see the value? Yes, no. If those are yes, am I the right fit? Yes, no. If all of those are yes, and then you say, and if we work together, will you get to the next point? Do you believe this will get there? Yes, but they still have a money objection. This is gold. This works all the time. And that is great. So I'm hearing that this is the right program, the right solution. I'm the right coach. You know that if we work together, you'll get to where you want to go. Yes, 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 yes. However, you're not able to make an investment even on a payment plan for the packages that I offer. Yes. What can you do? What is it that is within your capability today? And so they may say, well, I can do, like if I'm offering a 10,000, I'm going to use 10 because 10 is easy. I can do 1,500, or I can do 3,000. Okay, so I'm hearing you could do 1,500 or 3,000. Well, I can tell you what, I cannot offer all of these things that I'm offering in my package, but what I can do is for $1,500, I can do this amount of time commitment for you. And once we've done that, and I'll be flexible with the time, once we've done that, if you're in a space where you feel like you have made it to the point where you can do more, or we've gotten you to the income where you can do more, or you see that you want to continue, we will apply that and upgrade you to the next level. Does this make sense to everybody? So you're not undervaluing yourself. If 12 hours with Jen is $10,000, then I'm not going to undervalue my hours with Jen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in 30-minute increments. And maybe I'm only going to do 3 or 6, and they're going to have the opportunity. And maybe we space it out and we do 30 minutes once a month, or we do 30 minutes every other week, and they have the ability to buy into the whole I will apply that to the full package and almost make it like it's a paid in full rather than a payment plan. And what does that do? Number one, that shows that you were willing to work with them. Number two, it allows them to say yes to themselves at the way that they can do it right now. And let me put an asterisk. If they say, I am willing to do 1,500 right now, and then the next question for you is that uncomfortable for you? If they say, no, that's easy, then that's too low. And you say, I want you to do 20% higher than that. Because if it's not at least a little bit uncomfortable, and this is for the coaches, and this is for people who have something that, like a business model that requires investment and leadership and those kind of things. If they don't have something that feels like skin in the game that's a little bit uncomfortable, then they do not show up. This group is a classic example. I started this group. It was a super, super low price. It was really to be a service to the community, to give people access. And of 36 people, only 18 of them have come to at least one of these calls. There are half the people who bought this, pay for this, that have never showed up. And of the people who never showed up, 10 of them have never even opened the link. It was not enough skin in the game. It wasn't a strong enough yes to get them in. So if somebody says, okay, well, I can't do 10,000, but what I can do is 3,000. And I say, is that simple for you, or does that feel like a stretch? And they say, oh, it's pretty easy. I'm going to ask them for 4. And I'm going to say, the reason is you have to feel like it's a little bit uncomfortable for you to show up 100%, because that motivates them to come in. Because what I do is difficult. There's several coaches on this call right now. It is difficult to do the work. If it's not enough in an investment, they don't show up. And it's not just Gen stats. That is actually proven time and time and time again. So what can they do? Break it down into a bite-sized chunk from an investment standpoint. Number two, if they say, I need to speak to my spouse, say, fantastic, I totally get it, I'm married as well. And why don't you get the spouse on the phone right now? Because if you allow them to go to the spouse and say, hey, honey, I really want to do this, they're not going to understand. They will not understand. And if they can't come to the phone right now, say, hey, let's schedule a time when the three of us can have a conversation. That way I can answer any of the spouse's questions. And here's the little asterisk. 9 out of 10 men ask for forgiveness, meaning they buy now and ask for forgiveness. 9 out of 10 women say, I need to ask my husband, and then they never get to do what they want to do. They ask for permission first. I'll tell you, I never ask for permission. I always do something, and then the next day I tell my husband, hey, honey, I did a thing. Because what I have found is that if you ask permission by someone who's not experienced the problem, then they don't get it. They don't understand, and they're not inside your psyche, and it's not allowing you the power. You're giving them the power over you to give you permission. So that's kind of there. And then I'm going to leave this because a couple of you who were on this call and a couple people who weren't said, well, but what if they can't afford it? What if I already know they can't afford it? And this is for each and every one of you, because I know some of you are on here now. It is not our right or our position to prejudge what other people prioritize. It's not up to us to decide if someone can afford what we offer. Period. End of story. And I'll tell you why. Because what we prioritize might not be what the person sitting across the table from us prioritizes. And when you want something bad enough, when it is important enough to you, you will find a way. If you have ever lived below the poverty line, and I tell you, I have done this. When I was in medical school, I had a child, I had a baby, and I lived on ramen noodles for 2 years, literally, because it was 10 cents a bag. Okay, because I couldn't afford anything else. But I'll be damned if I wasn't going to go to medical school, because that's what was going to set myself up and my daughter up for success in the long run. So I got all the loans. I swallowed my pride. I went to people and asked them for money so that I could, close the gap between the student loan and the books, so that I could buy books. And then I went and I worked my fanny off every single night after being in school from 7 to 5. I went and waited tables and bartended in New Orleans so that I could close the gap. So when you want something bad enough, you find a way. I didn't have the money for that, but I'll be damned. And I don't mind that I'm cursing. And if you do, I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. I'll be damned if somebody's going to tell me what I know to be true and what I believe and I prioritize is not good enough. And because of that, I was able to send my daughter to private school when we lived in New Orleans. I was able to buy a house. I was able to do those things because I graduated medical school and went into sports medicine. So that is what it is. When somebody wants something enough, when it is enough of a priority, they make it happen. It is not for us to judge. And if somebody had said, well, shame on you, you don't have the money to do this, I probably would have flipped them off because I'm not a violent person and I wouldn't have spoke to them again. But the reality is it's not our role. It is never our role to make a determination. If somebody is diagnosed with diabetes today and they are told they need to get their A1C in order and they need to make X, Y, and Z lifestyle changes, and they want to invest in a health coach to do that because they know they can't do it for themselves and it is tight for them, it is not our job to say, you know what, I can't do this for you because I decided you can't afford it. It's not our job to lower our price points for that either. That's what they deem is important to them right now. So it is not for us to decide, never for us to decide. And finally, if we're lowering our prices, it's not honoring our boundaries, but it's also disrespectful to the person across the table, because each and every one of you has invested in something sometime in your life. Right? Has anybody never invested in anything? You're in this room, so I know that's not the case. So who on earth are we to tell someone else that they're not worth investing in themselves at this level? That is also very, very disrespectful. I am not going to stand here and say, hey, Kristen Gunderson, you're not worth investing $10,000 in yourself. Like, what does that make me feel like? Because that's what's happening when you lower your prices intentionally for people. When you devalue what you offer, you're telling them that they don't deserve to invest in themselves. And not a person on this call has that right. If you believe in a higher power, which I do, that's the only place where that comes from in my world. I don't have the right to judge anybody or anything for any reason. And so not only are we not setting our boundaries if we're lowering our prices, but we're also imposing our boundaries on the other person, which is infringement on their free will and their rights. So that's the skinny, because a lot of people had questions about that. I also saw a lot of questions about, believe it or not, I need my funnel to happen faster. I need more strategies. I need to do different things. And I think we've talked about this before, but thing number one, and please raise your hand if this is you. Has anybody put out an advertisement or social media post that brought you 100 people in the door immediately that didn't know you? Raise your hand if that happened. No. Has anybody gone to a networking group once and gotten a room full of referrals of people you'd never have known before? Kristen, you've gone into a room of people and you've never known any of them? The other Kristen.
Well, after one-on-ones, I've gotten so many referrals.
No, I didn't say one-on-ones. I said a room of networking.
I'm changing my answer. I'm sorry.
The reality is that going into a room, doing something once or twice doesn't yield results. What Kristen said was great. Doing one-on-ones, building the relationship, getting to know one another, that's what yields business if you're looking at relationships, relational capital. A marketing strategy, I'm going to use going on TV and radio. And also print advertising, because they all yield the same. You actually need to appear on the radio for 3 solid years. 3 years for return on investment. On TV, it is the same. You have to be consistently showing up for 3 years, unless you have a solid brand awareness like Coca-Cola or something, right? It takes a long time for your marketing strategies to work. For social media, if you've never been on Facebook ever, and today's the first day you go on, it could take you 9 months to build the know, like, and trust if that is your marketing strategy. Let's talk about speaking. Oh, I've decided I'm going to speak. If nobody knows who you are and you start having talks, you're only going to get 1 to 10 people in the room for the first couple of months. You're going to have to do it over and over and over again to get, number one, good at selling from the stage, because it's not like that's a skill set that you're just born with. And because you talk, thousands of people sign up. No, it's a skill. You craft your talk to sell from the stage a certain way. You start with your call to action and reverse engineer your success. The same thing happens with courses. Just because you make a course doesn't mean people are going to buy. Just because you have a website doesn't mean people are going to buy. It requires consistent, persistent effort. And if you're doing 10 things and you're just starting out, then you're not good at any of them. Get good at one thing. And maybe have a couple of, like I'll use Bill Barron since y'all were talking about Bill Barron. Have 2 side dishes. So like my main strategy when I started was networking. When I first started, my main strategy was I'm going to go out, I'm going to network, I'm going to meet people, because I know as a prior business owner that it requires relational capital to really scale and grow a business, not to have a JOB. Like if you just want to be self-employed and have a JOB, then you can do that. Onesie twosies. But if you want to have a business and ultimately have passive income and have people who work for you, you have got to have relationship capital. Period. End of story. You have to have strategic partnerships. You need to have solid relationships with people. And I'm going to put a caveat to that. Those people can't be broke people. They can't be people who are where you were 20 years ago when if I hung out with a bunch of people who only eat ramen noodles because that's all they can afford, my business is not growing. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I was that person. That is a perfectly okay place to be when you're in college or when you're first starting out. But now I'm in my mid 40s. I have a daughter who's about to have a grandbaby. That baby is still not here yet. And like, it's not okay for me to hang out with a bunch of people who only can afford to eat ramen noodles every meal because they're not going to build my business. I'm trying to build a business to support other people so that we can grow and make an impact on the world, because that's where I want to be. So what does that mean? That means I need to not hang out with broke people all the time. And broke is not no money. Broke is people who do not believe they have the ability to make an income. It's a mindset. Broke is a mindset. Just because you have no money does not mean that you are broke. No money is different. No money with persistence and work ethic and the desire and the effort, that's a whole different ballgame. I have plenty of those people who I hang out with, and I support them every step of the way. And those are good people to have. But broke people who are all about entitlement, and it's just going to come to me and I'm going to say here and magic is going to happen. Like, that's not how the world works. We live in an economic-based society. So I surround myself by people who are willing to do the work, who are there for service. They come from a place of love and service. They want to make an impact in the world. They want the world to be a better place in some way, shape, or form. And that's who I align myself with. Because if you have a bigger vision and a purpose and you have a goal, then you're not broke people. Does this make sense? Okay. All right, fantastic. So relational capital, if you are looking for all the things and you're looking for more strategies and you've not given your current strategy a fair shake, and what is a fair shake? If you said in 6 months, if my business is not booming, then I'm going to try something else, you have not given it a fair shake. Let's listen to some statistics. The average for businesses to break even is 3 years. What did I say? 3 years. The average for businesses, and now keep in mind, these are brick and mortar. So if you're a coach or you've got a home-based business, it doesn't necessarily take 3 years to break even, but that's the average. If you are looking at the average for businesses to have a decent margin, it's 5 years. For home-based businesses, a nice profit margin is 3 years rather than 5, because you don't have the other expenses of a brick and mortar. So you don't have as much overhead. Okay? So if you're thinking that you're going to give your business 6 months and it's going to be successful, you're kidding yourself. And this doesn't have, don't listen to Jen, do your research. Go to the SBA. There's plenty of free information out there. 98% of small businesses close in the first 3 years. Why is it? Because they don't give it a shot. Okay, so find your marketing strategy, get good at your marketing strategy. Your marketing strategy has to include interfacing with people, whether it's social media networking and interacting with them, or face-to-face or Zoom. It requires interacting with other people. You can't just put a website up and post a bunch of stuff and never interact. If there's no interaction, that doesn't build relationships. Does this make sense? Okay. So let me see. How is the best way to find the root problem? So we talked about closing the gap earlier, and a couple people are like, well, I don't feel that I'm closing the gap for people because I'm not getting to really what's getting in their way. So this comes with a couple of things. It comes with number one, practice. It comes with being curious, and it comes with really digging in and not being afraid to ask the tough questions. So we're going to do this, and we will demonstrate this because I'm going to do some laser coaching in just a minute. And we're going to dig into some root problems based off of a couple of people who were in here with some questions. The last thing is 3 people asked about creating online courses, how to market them to bring people in. So there's a couple things with that. I've been doing this a whole heck of a lot since COVID started. I've helped hundreds of people launch online courses. It's not just doing a course and then making it live that makes it work. There is a process. There is what you do in the pre-launch phase. There are specific things you do in the pre-launch phase to set yourself up for success. There is a launch, even if it's an evergreen, and there's specific goals and actions to take in the launch phase, and there is a post-launch phase, and there are specific goals and objectives, things to do in those. So in the pre-launch phase, it's all about building your email list. If you do not have an email list, and I don't mean 200 people on a list, if you don't have a decent email list and you are launching a course, you're not going to make a lot of money on your course. If you have an email list that people have opted into of 1,000, you're going to see 10% of those maybe buy your course, because that's a warm list. If you have a cold list of 1,000, 1% conversion is what you can expect. Okay, so if you were thinking about making a course, that is a fantastic thing to do. The absolute first thing you need to do while you're in pre-launch is start building your list. What does that mean? It means adding value, giving free stuff, exchanging free stuff for email addresses. Build your list. Thing number 2, partner with people. Partner with people who have lists. Now I'm going to tell you, as someone who has a list, that I don't partner with somebody who has a list of 200, because it's about reciprocity. When you're launching a course, you find people who are willing to co-market, and you give them 25 to 35% of the profit most of the time when you have big lists. If somebody has 10,000, 25,000 on their list and you want to have them market for you, in those circles, you give a percentage of your online course. For those who have smaller lists, I give 10 to 15%. Why? Because, I mean, build the list. It's about your influence. And so like there's different things to do. So partner with people who have a list, make sure your list is comparable to theirs. Because I can tell you, somebody with a list of 25,000 emails is not gonna partner with someone who has a list of 500. It's not gonna happen. So build your list. That's the most important thing if you're about to launch a course. Courses can be launched before they are complete. People don't understand this, but if it's a drip auto campaign, all you need to be is 1 week ahead of the drip. So if you're trying to do all the things and making all of the things and trying to get it all pretty, then you're wasting your time. Anyone who does online courses knows that you do a beta, what's known as a beta. So in pre-launch, maybe that pre-launch time period is a couple weeks to a month. Maybe it's longer. You're gaining people's interest. You're building your list. You're talking about, hey guys, I'm putting this together. You're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Oh my gosh, I thought it was gonna be so easy to make this course, and it's just not. And you ask a few people to beta what you're doing. So even if you have an outline and a rough draft or like the skeleton of your course, you ask a few people to come in and do it, and you get their testimonials. Because without testimonials, you don't sell an online course. So like I'm going to give Kristen Gunderson, can I use you as an example? Kristen Gunderson, I know, is putting together a course. What she should be doing right now in pre-launch is, hey guys, I'm really excited. So many people are asking about this particular thing. I'm putting it together for you. And then she's going to go to her ideal client, not people who can't afford her services, but her ideal client. And she's going to go, hey, Kelly Carruthers, I'm going to use Kelly because she's right next to you. You've got a business. You're my ideal client. Would you beta my course for me? In exchange for a testimonial and feedback, I'll give it to you for free. And Kelly might say, well, yeah, sure. And while you are making it, not when it's all pretty, not when you have the whole professional post edit done, but when you have the raw material, you put Kelly in it and you ask for her feedback, because she may say, well, I don't understand this. Well, what did you do if you went and wasted all your time building out a professional course in 5 modules if the most important piece didn't come across? The importance of the beta is to get that work done before you spend a lot of time and money on post edit and video. So you're going to get your beta testers in your pre-launch phase. And once you've got something like your first video, it's already been beta tested, you've already tweaked it, and you've made it professional, then you do your early bird launch and you say, hey guys, I'm super excited about this. I have an early bird special. It's this. You will have access to the course in 1 week. Remember, we're going to stay a week ahead. So you have 1 module all ready to go, beautiful post edit and everything. And you're going to launch it next week, but if they buy it today, they get it for half off. And then your launch happens, and then you're actually 2 weeks ahead in your video edit. But it's a strategy. It's a strategy that works. All the greats do it. Many of us have used it. It works. So if you're thinking about creating online courses, that's fantastic. Don't just create a course and expect it to sell. You have to generate buzz, and it has to be something that your clients already want. Your ideal client has to want it. So that's what it looks like. And marketing, that we've talked about that already. So those were the themes of today. I don't think I missed any. I did see one of money mindset, but you are getting laser coached, my dear, today. So are you ready for the fun stuff? Let's check the chat. What did I miss? Growth. Oh, y'all, I love your celebrations. How do you find out if the person has confidence in themselves? So this comes with time, Maria. It's something that you observe. You can ask them in a conversation, how do you feel? Do you feel like you can actually achieve this? And if not, what might get in your way? That's a way to know their pain points and to dig in. So you can ask. I wouldn't say, hey, do you have confidence in yourself, unless you're a confidence coach. What if a person says yes to a program as you, or you as a coach as politeness, so it may come up. That does happen. A lot of people do not understand how to say no. So that might actually happen. And if that is the case, you follow up. This becomes a matter of messaging, and that we'll talk about another time. Offered low or could pay, and she chose to pay more. Yes, that does happen. I did a big thing. Yes, I did a big thing last year. What platforms? There are a whole bunch of those, Olga, a whole bunch. Practice Better can do it for super cheap. Thinkific, Teachable, Kajabi, there are a whole bunch of them. Some of them are very costly and others are not. So you can look at that. As Mark says, Mark uses ClickFunnels. So you can use all kinds of different platforms. Fantastic. Azusa, will you please unmute yourself, my dear?
Sure.
Are you good if I laser coach you?
Yes.
All right, because a couple people asked about getting to the root of the problems and how to get deeper. And you made a comment about money mindset, and you believe that self-worth is underneath the money mindset. Are you okay if we coach around this?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So talk to me about your money mindset. Talk to me about what's going on.
So right now, most of my approach is like the people that I know, like friends or old friends. So when I do like OTR, like when I start talking about it, I have some price mind, but when I actually like speak, and I tend to lower the price. And one way is thinking like, well, she's my friend and I want to do, when I hear their interest in the program, like, wow, I want to support her as much as I can, and what can I do? And then I kind of put like, this is my usual price is this, but this is my like a friend's special price and such. And even I was thinking, this is a price I was giving, but during the conversation that I get lower more. I think in the one side, I may be like afraid that if I present the price and like as a friend, like, wow, you asked me that much of the price, or maybe I was afraid of it, or I was afraid of the rejection, or yeah, that's how that I'm feeling with.
Okay. Do you believe, what is your price point, first off?
To the actual, so
Yeah,
when I
how
said,
much?
Positioning price is like 1,500.
1,500 for what?
For 90 days Life for Health program.
Okay.
And
that's 12 sessions, right?
Yeah, it's a nine session.
9 sessions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you deserve to make $1,500 for 9 sessions?
Yes.
We had to think about that. What did you think about?
I have a resistance to say yes.
I see that.
Yeah.
what-
I didn't
what's
say
your
like
heart?
strongly. I didn't say yes. Like, oh yes. I
Okay,
have to
so-
think
so-
in my mind, like say yes. So yeah, I have the resistance to say it.
Yes. So I'm curious about that resistance. What is that resistance? Where do you feel it?
Am I really deserving it? Do I
Mhm.
really
And
deserve to receive?
Where in your body
I-
do you feel that?
Like the heart.
In the heart? Okay, so put a
Mhm.
microphone to your heart. We're going to put a microphone on your heart and we're going to listen to what is it that your heart needs to say? What is your heart trying to say when you have that resistance?
She wants to say yes, but somewhere that they scared.
And what is she scared of?
It's like the habit or tendency, like even like when I was small, like I was not able to say what I want. And I have a tendency to hold it back and, oh, I want this, but like, oh, let me wait for a second. Let's wait this whole situation to see if that's like really reasonable or to say, or do I need to change it? So I have a tendency to push down, even I have something sauce, but not be able to really claim that I like, oh yes, I want that. But yeah.
Okay, so if you were to claim that you want that, what are you making that mean about you? Even when you were a little girl? If you were to say, yes, I want this, what do you make that mean about yourself when you actually verbalize it?
If I verbalize it, I was always thinking the other's reaction and to see if this is okay for them. Is this like too much for them? So I think of their reaction first before I say the word.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you responsible for their reaction?
No.
No. Are they responsible for your reaction?
No.
No. So if you're not responsible for their reaction and you're not saying what you want or not verbalizing what you want or need because you're worried about their reaction and their influence on their reaction, but at the same time, you're not responsible for their reaction. Can you see where this is sort of?
That is true.
Okay, so
Never thought
if
of
you accept that you're sitting across the table from your friend and your program is $1,500 because that's your business. And your business is not personal, remember? Our business is not personal. Rejection of a business and no one business has nothing to do with your friendship. We completely separate the two. And if you're thinking, well, what about her reaction and you never offer, then how do you get clients? Just curious.
I will never be able to get the business that I want.
That's right, but you're also not allowing her the opportunity to invest in herself in such a powerful way.
That is true.
Okay, so we have a couple things going there, but I'm going to challenge you on $1,500 because you didn't have a strong yes. I believe that I can make this. So I can tell you the reason you're backing down on a self work is because you don't believe that you can offer at that price. And so the person across the table from you is going to see that. So not that I'm asking you to undervalue yourself, but I'm asking you to ask yourself, what price point will just roll off my tongue to get a couple of yeses to build the momentum? Because I think I read you were at what, 500 and now you're at 1,500. Is that the jump that you made?
So last time I wanted to say 1,200, but during the conversation I offered to like was it 900, 950 or something like that. I know it's only like a couple hundred difference, but it's just, even I was thinking, okay, this doesn't want to present, but during the conversation, I always say something lower than that.
Okay, absolutely. So there's a couple things going on, and I'm not going to continue to laser coach you because I want to get to other people. But
Okay.
number one is your own money mindset.
Mhm.
Number two is we can only offer at an investment level that we ourselves are comfortable with and believe in. So if before you even let it out your mouth, you're down, 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 it's a combination of a boundaries issue, which we can talk about offline, or, you know, we can talk about that offline. It's a combination of that. It's a combination of your money mindset. It's a combination of your fear of rejection. There's a bunch of things at play. But what we're going to talk about right this second is, instead of offering at a level that you know never comes off your tongue, let's build up to it. Let's collect your yeses. So your homework for this week, and whomever is your accountability partner, you're hearing it right this second. I think that I would like Kristen Salomon. Will you be her accountability partner this week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you two are partners this week. And I think that's because Kristen has been working on boundaries, and maybe you're fourth grader in that area. I think she can have and I think you two can work around this very well. So what I would like you to do is, number one, feel into your own value of your program, what you believe the value of your program is. And if you believe the value of your program is $3,000 and you're offering at $1,500, I want you to offer in practice. So you're not selling to Kristen, but I want you to practice your closing with Kristen and let her give you feedback. And Kristen, as her accountability partner, what I want you to do is be 1000% honest and call her out if she pauses, or if you can see her wanting to backtrack her number. I want you to tell her that. And y'all work around what is it that you can easily offer, the pass the salt test, the thing that your gut, your heart, and your mind works with, Azusa. And if it's not $1,500, that's okay, but you come up with that before you practice with Kristen. I don't care what the number is. I don't care if the number is $10,000. You're like, man, I'm worth $10,000. Yes, you are, and then some, because you're priceless. But whatever your offer is, I want you to work on it internally first. If it's 100, 500, 900, whatever. And then when you do an accountability session with Kristen, do a 30-minute session where you go ahead and you close the gap on something for her and offer at that level. Can you do that?
Sure.
Do y'all both have time for that this week? Yes. Yes. And in exchange, Azusa, I want you to do the same thing for Kristen.
Okay.
Not with regard to travel, but with regards to her social media marketing. Okay. Now listen, this is not you selling each other services. This is not a solicitation. This is practice. Okay. I want you guys to practice and give real feedback. Okay. So the learnings from this are, number one, we have to do the inner work first. If we are not okay with what we're offering, or we don't feel that we can do that, then we shouldn't be offering at that level. When I started my first offers, I offered 600, and then I was like, well, this is dumb. This is worth so much more. I offered one at 900. Then I went up to 1,200 for one, and then I was at 1,500, all in the space of a couple. But what I did was, what rolled off my tongue easily? What rolled off my tongue easily? What was the easy? What did I feel that this was worth? And I tell you, when you undervalue your services, then you resent. You get to like session 6, 7, 8, and you're resenting because you're like, gosh, I'm giving so much value. And so it becomes easier and easier for you to up that price, but collect your yeses to get your confidence up, to make it easy so that you can separate rejection of self from business, because it has nothing to do with one another. But start collecting your yeses. And you can use the way that I did earlier. If your program is 1,500 and somebody can only do 500, then great, I'll do a third of the program for 500. Super simple. And after the first 4 sessions, after the first 3 sessions, if you want to continue, well, it'll be another 500. It's the same thing as offering a payment plan. It's just presented differently. And right now in COVID, some people who are struggling, they don't want the long-term commitments. Time is an issue, and maybe they're uncertain in their finances. So giving that option helps them. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for pairing. I see Kristen. Kristen, did you have your hand up?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Is it okay if I ask the question?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so my question is varied. The aspect that I want to focus on right now is time blocking. I'm naturally a really free spirit, so time blocking is a huge step for me. And I feel like I've gotten so much better at it, and I see so much better results with it. But my time blocking had some severe consequences this week. And I've had 2 people bring it to my attention that I should be a little bit more, well, not so rigid, so to speak. One of those consequences was I hurt my husband. And the other one was an aspect of my travel job and my boss saying, hey, you have to be a little bit more flexible. So what is your response to, like, what's the best way of time blocking when you need to be a little bit more flexible without having like severe repercussions, so to speak? Not severe, but just relationship rift.
Right. So first things first, when we start to set a boundary, people don't like it because you've been a yes person and you've been doing everything for everybody and putting yourself on the back burner. So it is completely natural for them to have a reaction. Okay. But the way that we deliver our boundaries, for example, our time, can look like, hey, listen, I really need to take care of this in this time frame. Because I love you, we will fit our walk in to 8 to 8:30. And then at 8:30, I have got to be on this call for work. And I want to have quality time with you and be fully present with you. But at 8:25, we're going to have to make it back to the house so that I can get my job done. Like if it's your spouse, whatever. But it's the delivery. It's the way you say, listen, I want to give my time to you and I want to be fully present with you. So when we set a boundary with our husband, for example, when we first set boundaries, it's really tough because they're used to getting all of us whenever they wanted, anytime on their terms. But at what detriment? At the detriment to where you're not able to do what you need to do. So at first, yes, it's very tough, but you have to set the boundary from a place of love and service. If you're going to be resenting time with your husband and thinking about 6 different things and on your phone trying to do business, that's not actually good quality time with your husband, right? And so it's very important that you set it with the right intentions. And with the JOB, let's talk about the JOB right now. You need a clear delineation of what are your job hours, know what times you're working, and flexibility within your job offers. Not a soul on the planet can say, oh, Kristen, you need to take a call at 9 p.m. because it's an expectation of your job if your job hours are 8 to 5. So when you time block your job with travel into the hours expected. And then don't put other things in those hours. Like honor the boundary, honor the container. And if your travel job needs to have like 3 hours in the morning and 5 hours in the afternoon, then you time block around what the necessities of the job are, because if you have a job, you need that job. If your job is a requirement, then you honor that in whatever hour. If it's a 40-hour a week, you get your 40 hours, and that time block doesn't have husband time. It doesn't have side gig time. You put that time, and that becomes for travel. And then your other hours is what you prioritize and you block around. Does this make sense? Okay.
Yes.
Helpful?
Very. Thank you.
Okay. Fantastic. Who's up next? Oh my gosh, there's a lot of quiet people this morning. All right, Maria, go for it.
A little bit about what I wrote. Not so certain whether to prioritize right now, continuing to improve my script and my marketing and bring in the clients and try to get those one-on-ones, or get ready for, what Kristen and I talked about this last week because we were partners last week. So what is my offer, for somebody who's not fully ready to do it, but kind of want to get their feet wet? And then I have to stop. And if I don't have that service right now, I need to create it and I need to make it a priority if I feel that that's going to be a good stepping stone into the future program. So just, do I do that right now or do I wait? Or, it's just a lot of things. I would like to do 17 things, you know, but I need to choose 2 or 3 and just kind of give those a real
Right.
reset.
Right. So, so Maria's question was, do I do one? Do I do group? Do I do online courses? Like all the different things that are options. So thing number 1, Maria, to get clients in the door, you have to have traffic or leads, and you have to convert. And in between getting leads in the door, that's marketing. That's the stuff that you've been working on. And that's what we talked about earlier. Traffic takes time. Building relationships, marketing on social media, all of those things, that's traffic, leads. Then there's a nurture sequence that happens, whether it's a discovery call, a follow-up with email, a series of emails. The nurture sequence is part of the conversion, okay? The conversion is the moment that somebody gives you their cash, check, credit card, right? The moment you make the sale, you have converted, okay? So what you're asking is multifaceted. What you're asking is, okay, well, how do I get people in the door? That's marketing. That could be social media marketing. That's like WGNO, building the relationships, having the one-on-ones. Like all of those things go into lead conversion. That's your social media. That's when we talked about going on lives or posting stuff and having content to get people in the door. Okay. The nurture sequence is multifaceted. It could be a series of emails, texts, and phone call follow-ups. And it could be a discovery call. And if they say they're not ready to press go on the big enchilada, it might look like, okay, I'm going to offer 4 of my 12 sessions so that you can have a taste. Here is a kickstart. It might be you're offering a 2-week cleanse or meal prep for a week for the kiddos. Like whatever you have, you don't have to invent something new. I know you well enough to know you've got all these workshops worth of information. What if you just took the snacking, like the sport performance snacking, and you say, listen, what I would love to do is give you this. And so they start the process. And it might be little things that are free or little things that are very small dollar that leads up to the conversion. Does this make sense? Okay. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to come up with something new. It could be as simple as I usually do a 12 session package or a 16, maybe I just do it month by month. If they're not ready to go for the whole thing, maybe I divide it up into a monthly fee and I do 2 sessions a month or 4 sessions a month and break it into smaller chunks. Because right now you don't have groups going on. You could make groups, but you don't have a lot of leads and people coming in the door. So one-on-one is truly the best bet. And you're confident in one-on-one, you know you deliver, you've got testimonials. So I think focusing with that and breaking that into a smaller chunk, plus doing the things you and Kristen talked about like how to up your social media game, how to up your nurturing sequence, how to get more traffic in. I think doing all those things is about the traffic. And then the conversion is about offering something that's a smaller duration that gets them started. Hey, I'm going to give you a jump start for 28 days. It looks like this, and it's one-on-one. Does that feel like it's a good way to combine your efforts and not overwhelming? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So let's start there and let's get more leads in the door for you and work on your traffic side of things. Okay. And then the other part of your question was, how do I attract the people who value it? I will tell you that 90% of the time on Facebook, for people who don't know you and they're asking for free, they don't intend to spend any money on anything. Yeah. You know, it's about knowing where to spend your energy. So if they're just looking for everybody to give them free meal plans, if that's not your game, you can go in there, you can pop a recipe you've already got and say, hey, for more information, have a call with me, and leave it like that. But the people who are really looking for coaching, nutritional coaching, sport performance for their kids, those are your people. Okay. And yeah, talk to Kristen. I think Kristen's the social media guru. She can help you with your psychodemographics so that you can get in front of the right people who have the money to pay instead of a bunch of people who are not willing to. All right. So it is 8:59. What I would like to do is pair people up. I've already got Kristen with Azusa. Let's go ahead and pair up other people. Ooh. Who has not been able to work with Maria as yet?
I did not work with Maria. Olga.
Olga, will you pair up with Maria, please?
Sure.
Exchange information. Who has not had an opportunity to work with Kelly Carruthers yet? Kelly, have you worked with everybody on the call?
Not me.
No, no, I haven't worked with Mark. And actually, the week that Ati, I hope I said that right, and I we're supposed to connect. We did not connect. So,
Okay, so you get your pick. Do you want Mark or do you want Ati?
oh my gosh, that feels so unfair. I don't know. I'll choose Ati because I think it was my fault that we didn't connect. So,
Is that okay with you, Ati? You and Kelly? Okay.
okay.
Mark, you're new to this call. Who would you like to pair up with? Someone who you don't know super well, please.
Okay. Let me see. Oh, I think I know most people on this call. I'm not sure of everyone's. Hold on. I mean, you choose. I'm fine. You choose. Who do you think would be a good fit for me?
I want somebody who you don't know very well, who you'll be able to hold accountable to.
I don't know. Maybe Olga. Olga.
Olga?
Yeah.
Are you good pairing up with Mark?
Are you talking to Olga, me, Ryan's, or the other Olga?
I only see Olga Rhines on here. You're the
Okay,
only one on
well,
here
I'm
today.
working with Maria, but I'm
You just paired
I'm
us
more than
up.
happy to
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. I just paired you and Maria. My bad.
and I would
All right,
be
Mark
more than
Morrison.
happy
I
to
know
help
who's good
Mark.
for you.
but-
Okay.
Mark, you pair up with Kristen Gunderson. She'll
Sounds
hold
good.
you accountable.
All right. Sounds good.
Mark and Kristen, Kelly and Ati. Who is not yet paired up? Melissa, you're not paired up. Gidget is not paired up. Gidget, you and Melissa, y'all work together? Is that everyone? Kristen Salomon. I've got Kristen and Azusa. I've got Olga and Maria. I've got Mark and Kristen. I've got Kelly and Ati. I've got Melissa and Gidget. Is anybody missing an accountability partner? Okay. Sounds like we're all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. There's 2 of me. That's why I'm like, there's somebody missing. It might be a Monday. Anybody else? I have an extra 5 minutes. I know that it is 9 o'clock and I want to honor your time. If you've got to go, it was great. If anybody else, I have time for one more. If you have a question or you need a laser coaching around something, I will stick around for another 5 minutes.
Jen, can I jump in with a question, please? I think it was really, thank you. It was super important, very, very helpful to hear the kind of a systemic breakdown to nurturing sequence versus traffic sequence. Is there any good resource to read about this or somehow understand the options? I'm like doing things that potentially put me in front of so many potential clients, and then I totally freak out and I don't follow up at all. And having something put in place, like 3 times, probably would off the ground, but it's like ridiculous. There's so many opportunities for speaking. I'm being requested for speaking. So obviously people picking up on some sort of, I don't know, image or whatever it builds up into, and then I freak out. Like ridiculous.
So you freak out?
I freak out and follow up. I go, I deliver, I get people, I have requests for more, people are showing up. Mm-hmm. And then I even have a PDF to send them, and I don't. Like I totally cannot step back. So I don't know what to say. I don't know how much to say in the email. The emails that I received that I try to use as the sample, they are overwhelmingly saley. I'm uncomfortable with that. I mean, people like Dean Gratilosi, whatever. The second you sign up, they start selling you gazillions of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just can't find or understand what is the balanced way to have this nurturing sequences. And so I basically don't follow up at all.
Mm-hmm.
And lose every single opportunity every time.
That is not
pattern.
okay, especially because what I heard you say is you got their information because you have a PDF to give them. That's
Yes.
free.
Yeah.
So they're asking for this information. And so what's happening is you're actually hurting your brand by not following up and giving them that PDF.
Oh yeah, 100%. And they ask for one-on-one, like a session, 30-minute session, which I'm setting up for very few people, but I do. And I don't follow up and intentionally ruin it. It's like you sabotage yourself. Stupidly, but
I think that part of this is because you've been in overwhelm for a really long time. And when we had a conversation before, you were concerned about what if I have too much and I don't have enough time for all the things, and how do I fit all this in? That has been your story. Since COVID started, I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have time for all the things. So what I would love for you to do is to, number one, set up an email. And if you don't want to do it as an automated, which I think is a mistake because it would take a lot more time.
There's so much learning that I just run out of steam.
Right. So the easiest thing that you can do is have an email that says, here's the PDF as requested. Thank you so much for participating in our talk. If you would like to book a call for 30 minutes, here is the link. Have the scheduling link and let them self-select in or out, because the act of putting a link, I will tell you, because I know where you are. I would speak in front of 1,000 people and I'd have 280 people requesting my time. But the minute I put a link for them to click, 90% of them fall off because they don't want to take the time to actually click the link and book a schedule. So it will solve your problem for you.
So this PDF, quick question on that. I put it together and I tried to make it informative. It's kind of a part of presentation, even some slides with some additional bullets in it. So it's following the presentation, and then it's my kind of signature content anyway. I don't want to give too little. I don't want to give too much. So there is like any magic rule of how much, how little do you give? Like right now, it's about 3-page PDF, including information about myself. It's
right.
Like a flowy article a little bit, and it has like 4 to 6 bullets of steps, description.
So Olga, you are overthinking this. Number one, it doesn't have to be perfect. Number two, content. You can give, we all give all of our content away. Let's just put it this way, because anybody can Google content. People are not paying for you for content. They're paying for you for coaching, for your curating of the content. So whatever you have is okay. Let's not fix it. Let's not worry about it. Let's just start to do it. So the PDF is fine. Start putting it out. Imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. Okay. And then ask for feedback. So your first follow-up is, here's the PDF. And if you were interested in scheduling a call, here's the link, schedule the call. If you want to make another barrier to entry because you were time limited, give them an intake questionnaire. So when they book the link, have it linked to an intake questionnaire that they have to fill out for time for you. What that does is it shows they're willing to put in at least the 5 minutes to fill out the questionnaire for them to then get your time. So they're opting in. Remember how we talked about the collection of yeses? Number one, they said yes because they want your PDF. Here's the PDF as promised. A lot of you also asked to have a 30-minute conversation with me. Here is the link. So if they click the link, that's another yes. And then if they do the intake questionnaire, that's a third yes. So they are more strongly leaning in, and that will self-select in the people who are really serious, and the people who are not are out. And I'll tell you that when I first started coaching, I worked a full-time job too. I was very busy. I had all of the things. I was going through the program. I was doing all the things. And I was terrible at setting boundaries back then. And so what happened was I got a lot of yeses, but the instant that I started saying you have to book on a link, 90% of them went away. And the 10% who were left, the ones who put the effort in, my close rate was 96%. I was not dealing with people who just wanted to pick my brain, because people don't need to pick your brain. You are exceptional at what you do. You don't need to be wasting your time with people who just want your time for free, who don't really have a clue. But the 3 yeses, they've opted in, and the people who have opted in, the people who have done the link, the people who have done the intake questionnaire, those are serious. And at least they've put in the time, if not the money. They still may say no, but you have a much more curated group of people, and it's not like you're talking in front of a lot of people, and you're curating it down to the people who are most serious, which is what you want to do. It saves your time. And so the 222 follow-up sequence is fantastic. If you do a talk today and you promise the PDF, you send them the PDF on Wednesday. And then on Friday, hey, in case you missed the follow-up email, here's the PDF again. I want to make sure you have it. And here is the link to book the 30-minute call with me if you were interested. And so that's Wednesday and Friday, that email. And then once a week for 2 weeks. So then you would go back to them either next Monday or next Friday. I don't care what day you pick, but pick one day next week. And you would follow up and say, hey, I would love feedback on the PDF. Here it is again. What would you like to see in the next one? Or what would be more helpful to you? Because what that does is it gives you feedback on your PDF. And so then you can start to tweak it if you feel the need to do so. And then 1 week later, give them something different, another article, another PDF, another something. It could be someone else's work. It doesn't have to be Olga's work, but give them something else that is of value and say, I've really enjoyed working with those of you who scheduled a session, and I've had a few requests. Here's the link again, and give them the link to schedule with you. And that way they're opting in. And then in 2 weeks, you follow up and say, hey, I was just looking for feedback on the form. Here it is again. What would you like to see more of? I'm curating my next talk. Like whatever that is. What are the topics that are most concerning to you right now? Like be on their map. Does this make sense?
Absolutely. That's exactly what kind of the funnel was needed. And if you're working with someone else, it's like I realized that I basically go in with my content on somebody else's stages. Literally, they just open the door, show up, and I deliver. But it's presented as us delivered. And I realize it's the internal barriers that I don't want to put 2 names, because obviously, you know, we delivered both in the sense that she said hello or whatever. But I just pulled back completely, and I was like, shit, that's not right. Sorry, my friend.
You're good.
Friend.
So Olga, let me tell you how stages
it's my
work.
content. So
Let's pause. When you're gaining stages and you're going on other people's stages, what they're doing is using your expertise, because like for me, I put other people in front of my audience too. Like I'm going to bring Kristen Gunderson to my audience. And why? Because she's a profit first professional who does bookkeeping. I don't do bookkeeping, but every one of my business clients has to read Profit First. It's one of the first books I have them read. And so what I'm doing is her expertise, her content, she's getting my brand awareness in my audience. And so by doing that on my stage, we're co-branding anyway. What we're doing is merging audiences. We bring experts in to expand our audience because they want your content. I'll bring Mark Morrison in to talk about metabolic testing and the importance of testing and the importance of the science behind it. I'll bring Maria in to talk about sports nutrition, because my audience wants to hear those topics, and because they speak for my audience or I share their stuff, it doesn't even have to be a talk. Just because I share their something, then my audience says, oh, Jen, trust this person because I'm seen as the authority in the area. Experts go to the authorities. They learn from the authorities. Authorities don't have to be experts in everything. Authorities know we are not the experts in everything, and we're going to curate the information from the people who are.
But you're not mixing it together. It's not you and her doing that presentation. It's her guest. She's a guest on your stage, basically. And that's a separation. And I don't have that.
That's what you do. But you are co-presenting. I've done this many times where I've gone with someone else and it's been my content. I've been the person doing all the things, but we are presenting together because they are hosting me or I am hosting them. And so get out of the semantics, lose your head of stop losing your head over what that looks like. Show up 100% you, deliver your
I'm
content.
curious on the follow-up, Bill. Do you follow up yourself or do you
Yes.
follow up as us? Because
No,
I keep
follow up
putting
yourself.
us, and it's
No.
just, okay.
No, follow up yourself.
Okay.
Follow up yourself.
And would you pay percentage? Like I want to pay probably 10%. Just
So I'll tell you from stages, when I do international speaking on other people's stages, most stages, they require a percentage of all sales. Like if you're going to speak with Tony Robbins, for example, you have to pay 50% of everything that you sell at that event, you pay to Tony Robbins. If you go and you're on stage with most of the gurus, Dean, all of them, you're paying between 35 and 50% of everything you sell at that event. Why? Because they have the name recognition.
right.
They brought
Well,
the
I
people in and you're on their
I
stage.
think I put 10% into my kind of set. I want to pay whoever I am, because they help me to be there. But I don't know if that's reasonable or that's too little or too much. But if they don't have the name and they don't have the program, I think it's okay.
Right. So I'll tell you, I do 60-40 splits. Like when I go to a gym owner and I do something, even if they ask me to come speak to them, I give them 60-40 splits because I'm in their gym presenting to their membership.
Do you get
Go to a
60,
yoga
they 40 or vice versa?
I take 60, they take 40. Usually I do 60-40 splits. And that's just because I'm on a lot of stages. And that's just the way I've accustomed to doing business. And I didn't have to market. They did all the marketing. I didn't have to bring the audience. It's their audience. It's their membership. When I do with a yoga studio, we do a 60-40 split because it's their people.
No, I'm bringing the audience.
And then
well
Olga,
as,
when they're coming in because of me, then the people who come in because of me and my marketing, if they sell, they do the same thing and give the 60-40 split. So if you come to my thing at a yoga studio and you sign up at the yoga studio, she does a 60-40 split for me because I brought you in. It's a mutual arrangement.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. It's just an also amount, like, because I do the actual marketing. I also do the actual bringing my own audience and then show up into the content, but it's just an extra door. And so, I see what you're saying. And it's good to have this various numbers and concepts and growing.
Yeah, I think 10% is too little. If you're in their space, 10% is too little because basically you're renting their space and that's not fair rent.
Jen, you mean 40% of the income that day from the speaking engagement or 40%
Yes.
what you get in the future from a client?
No, that day. It's that day.
Oh,
When you
that
speak
day.
for Tony-
That's my question, because I say not
that
10%
day.
for anything that came out of this.
Oh.
No.
What about future?
Yeah, so Olga, the 10%, I do that too. So if I speak, say I speak at, I'm going to use Jenny because I've done workshops at her thing. Say I do a workshop at Jenny's studio. The day of anything I sell, I give her 40%. Now I put those people into a nurture sequence. Anybody that does anything with me after that, I give her 10%. But the day of the event is a 60-40 split. If they came in and 2 months later bought from me, but it's because of that workshop, I give her 10%. That's just good business.
That's what
That's called a referral partnership.
Yes.
Most of my strategic partners, they give me 10%. I give them 10%. That's how it is. And for some professionals like healthcare, like attorneys cannot take a referral bonus. CPAs cannot take a referral bonus. Medical practitioners cannot take a referral bonus. So what I do with it is I give them the choice. Either I can give the discount to your person saying it's a gift from you. Like I have a chiropractor who sends me a ton of clients and a ton of people who do like my online program on boundaries and other things. So when he sends to me, I know he can't take that referral bonus. And I say, okay, Paul is his name. Okay, Paul, do you want me to give it as a discount to your person as a gift from you? And he always says, no, I want you to donate it because he knows that I donate to Shield Bearer locally. So I give them the opportunity. Either I donate that 10% or because what it is anything that comes in, I'm donating 10% to charity or I'm giving a referral bonus on. like, that's just it's how I set my practice up. So it gives the people who can't have a referral bonus an incentive to use me because I'm recontributing to the community. Or like, he has had one client, he's like, listen, they really could use the 10% off because I know their financial situation. And I have absolutely. So when I sell them, and I said, and listen, because Paul wants so much for you to do this, he has offered to give 10% of your program.
Yeah, but it's very helpful to have this clarity. 40-60
Yes.
split is the actual event, and I am actually talking about, I think the name now, it's referral partnership. And that's definitely from nurturing, not from the initial sale. We don't have the initial sale on the spot. Okay, thank you so much. Really clarified.
When you get better at speaking, Olga, when you get better at speaking, you'll close 40% of the room on the spot. If you need help with that, I can help you with that. I help a lot of people to sell from stage. It's how you
your stuff on my wall. You're like in my schedule, but I need to get the world up and going with the Corona stuff. We need to finish so many projects. Jeez.
Yes. But like what I'm saying is, you will get to the point where you will close 40% of the people in the room at the event or that day. And so that's why it's important to get your ducks in a row and know what you're willing to sell. Because when you sell from the stage
relief
program,
to hear that nurturing sequence is
Yes.
total 10, because I was thinking now, like, oh my gosh, I just totally, 10%. What do you think? You should give half. So I see what you're saying. It's really helpful to distinguish
yes,
the two.
and it does require you to keep track of who brought that person in. I mean, like, it really, you do have to keep track of where they come from. So for me, when I put them in my email, my CRM, I tag them with the event and the dates so that I know who to reimburse. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it's really interesting. Like, Kristen brought some people to the event I was doing. And so it's like really her who brought people, not the person who brought me to the event itself. So do you pay both then? Because I would split it.
I would split it between the two then.
Okay, so you're not doing 20%.
2020, yeah. I would do 2020, or I would do something along those lines. Okay, guys, I need to run. I have a 9:30. It was fantastic to see you guys. I will see you again next Monday. Apologies again for having to be a little harsh at the beginning. But the replay will be live as soon as it is, and I will send it out to you. So see you later.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.